gotta, I'm gonna say something here. It's to do with this whole political situation. I'm just a civilian. I have nothing in line to do with this. But the main thing that everybody knows is this. The irony of human nature is that they want to find themselves with themselves in distinct identities. They want to say that the Taiwanese are truly theirs, that the Chinese will keep to themselves. That they want democracy, they don't want authoritarianism. But to be honest, if you visit the country, if you studied or are even in the government itself, you will probably know the full picture, or if nobody knows the full picture actually. But the full picture I can try to assume is this, that weren't these leaders pushing for globalization in the first place? Weren't these leaders telling us that a sense of national unity and, everyone sort of united in all races, everyone was Han Chinese, which was possible. Or, at least, to be honest, even the Taiwanese are themselves Han Chinese. Not the Aboriginal, not the natives of Taiwan. Japan can also have that kind of similar situation and the same situation. But is this to do with politics? Of course, all to do with politics. To manipulate each governments, even though each governments are neither inherently nor authoritarian or more democratic than one another, like our PRC or RP, ROC, they're neither inherently more democratic than United States is. Taiwan is not inherently democratic, I can tell you, nor the Chinese Communist Party itself. The matter of fact is that it's the people what they want. If the people choose nothing, they will let others leaders to decide for themselves. And therein the people are also complicit and part of the problem. It doesn't matter about honestly all these superficial who's bad, who's good, but who's benefiting from it. Everyone's benefiting from the chaos. And they're turning themselves into more hateful each and every second. Taiwan or China, it matters probably little. And the thing is, we have to understand, people want a sense of national unity. And at the same time, they want to be distinct of their own personal identities, their cultures, and all this kind of stuff. And so it's a contradiction, a state that the very essence of this whole war is. It's a contradiction unto itself. What is it? You choose to be globally united, to set aside differences, which is a good thing, and yet people are looking to be. People say, "Oh no, it's just the government." Screw the government, man. Even if China was a democratic government, it'll be puppet of the West. Even worse, it will not. It will not be in tune with the West. It will be against the West even more. It will be manipulated by within itself. And what the West is doing is that they're trying to break up China and all that. The sense of stability, they're trying to make it go back. You look at the past, they're trying to determine, again, if you look at the Boxer Rebellion, they're trying to unleash out on a massive scale of some sort. That's how it is. Nobody can figure out whether to understand that it is important to have a sense of national unity. If we try to look at India has an interesting relationship within its own country. How they're able to tolerate so many cultures, distinctly different, and yet they're able to not quarrel with borders. But they do, of course, actually wrong. They do have a quarrel with Pakistan and all that. That's them, when Pakistan has a quarrel with India. But the thing is, it's not, you may argue it's the governments, but the reality is it's not about the governments themselves, but about foreign interference. Rather, this is a civil war in which it has to be resolved between all the parties that are strategically placed there. The United States, the Western nations should stop interfering in these civil wars. If not Russia, at least China, because Russia is sort of course, it is presented as a viable threat. It is a viable threat to, not even a viable, it is a threat to the UK. But again, the UK is still manipulating so many political, economic events from within, from behind the scenes, that it is still, despite people believing it to be a dead empire, it is still very much a huge empire of today. It is so great that it has got United States. The United States itself is already subverted within by the British already, even though they fought for their independence from the British. They've already been, in certain families, they've already controlled the United States from within. And the Americans are no longer the Americans themselves. They are still allied with the British. Why? Because of race. A simple fact of that. I mean, they want to break the Russians up, they want to break the Chinese up because, of course, the Western blocs have always been sort of, aside from the Europeans, have always been sort of unified because of their upbringing race within the country itself, the British and the British offshoots, and the Kiwis and the Australians. It's fair to say that the British has already got a stronghold. You produce, imagine this, you produce 1, 2, 3, 4 sons. The Australians, the Kiwis, the Americans, what is it? Who else? Some of the Russians, but some of the Europeans, they're allied with the Nordics, the Norwegians. Some of the Europeans. Germany's been taken care of, and that's what they want. They've already sort of turned the tables. What they're trying to do now is to prevent Russia and China from toppling over their own power. They are the ones trying to stop China from moving. I can tell you, honestly, my point of view, I don't like China as much as I don't like America or the UK, even though, as when in Rome, you do as the Romans do. You sort of want to like their culture because you are in the country, you are in their culture. You're part of the British. You're here. You're British. Not British, sorry. You're here in New Zealand. You're Kiwi. You abide by their rules and laws, and that's what you have to do. But the problem is this: if you can't speak Chinese, you're not Caucasian in color and race. You're smack dab in the middle. People just look at you as a foreigner. You're a complete outsider to both nations. But as long as you can speak one language that belongs to your race, then that particularly will help you gain a sense of inner calm and justice. Inner calm and belongingness. That's what matters at the end to people, really. Not